went to, I called Credo Mutwa, the Zulu shaman, and I didn't say to him, look, this is what I'm thinking here as I was putting this together. I just said to him, can you tell me any African legends about the moon? First of all, there are African tribes, as there are in other parts of the world, that say our tribe goes back to before the moon came. But also, he said to me, well, the Zulu legend of the moon is it's an egg. And of course, anthropologists immediately hear that or whatever. They go, that's crazy, you're primitive.
Yeah.
But why do they say it's an egg?
It's living.
Because they say it was hollowed out.
Right.
And it was hollowed out far, far away in the distant cosmos by reptilian entities. And in the Zulu legend's words, rolled across the heavens to the earth, where it caused great cataclysmic events. Now you move that big thing, that bugger in here, and you're going to do tremendous damage to the earth, certainly initially, because everything moves. And you look at these ancient legends all over the world. They talk about a golden age, a previous age of great human expansion and possibility coming to an end with cataclysmic events, massive earthquakes, a tidal wave that went across the earth, and the fact the earth moved. All these different cultures around the world, they, in different ways, describe the same thing.
It's mentioned in the Sanskrit, the Gita, the Bible, the Torah, the Sumerian tablets.
Yeah, exactly.
You mentioned Credo Mutwa. When you were talking about the folklore, you were also a part of this understanding of the Necklace of Mysteries that was explaining this. Can you explain that a little bit for us?
Well, I met Credo Mutwa in 1996, 97, and 98, or across that period. I met him about 2 or 3 times. We became very close friends. And he's been in the underground shamanistic network in Africa for much of his life. He's coming up to his 90th year. I mean, he goes way back. And he's had access to information that has been passed on basically in secret, because these networks were created when the Europeans came in, the British overwhelmingly, and they targeted the shamans, targeted the knowledge. They didn't want that knowledge to continue. They wanted to destroy it. They used Christianity to replace it, as they did in many countries around the world, and they targeted the shaman. They didn't want this information to be passed on, so it went underground. And when I met him, he was already, quite an age. And because in America or in places like that, people have had the ability to go through this material dream of success and found it wanting, and now they're looking for something else. In so many developing countries, including South Africa and other parts of Africa, they haven't taken that to the point where it's like found wanting. It's still the dream. It's still the thing that is the symbol of success, like the Western model with the Nike trainers and all that stuff. And so the knowledge that Credo's been carrying, I mean, a lot of people, of his own people, have been turning away from it. And he's been looking for ways to pass it on. And he reached the point where he said, the situation in the world's got to such a stage, never mind passing it on in secret, it's got to get out there. And, I've helped him do that to an extent by giving him a platform. And he shared so much with me. And, people have looked at the Native Americans, they've looked at the South Americans, the Central Americans like the Mayans and stuff like that. And they've looked in Asia and other parts of the world. And what's so been neglected, forgotten, is Africa.
Yeah.
And Africa has the most unbelievable gifts of knowledge, both of history and other things, to give us. And there's this man sitting there who, he's a library on legs, and so he's like, talk about some force handing me pieces in the puzzle.
Yeah.
So one day they came along and went, have that one, mate. And
Yeah.
it was Credo Mutwa, and he's been incredibly helpful to me.
It was important enough for even him to be withheld and they stole the Necklace of Mysteries?
Yeah, the Necklace of the Mysteries, he first showed me when I first met him. It's called a necklace, but it goes on your shoulders.
Right.
And coming from it, and it's ever so heavy, how this guy, his age, walks around with it, and another one like it called funnily enough, the Necklace of the Moons, because they say there are many moons which aren't actually, what they seem to be. And hanging from it are symbols which he uses, and others before him, because it's about 1,000 years old, he reckons at least, he uses to tell the story of not just Africa but the world. And right at the front, pride of place, is a human woman and a clearly not human entity.
Right.
And shall we say they fit together sexually, shall we say. And he said that's there on the necklace in pride of place right at the front, because he's talking about the legends of the interbreeding between a non-human race and humans to create not just a hybrid bloodline, which became, as I've been writing about for years, these Illuminati bloodlines like the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers, the British royal family, pass through history, these hybrids, these demigods, these people that see themselves as a genetically and in every other way elite and
Right.
above the rest of the population.
Entitled.
But also, the human race in general was genetically tinkered with.
Sure.
And it seems to me, the more I put this together, and it's an ongoing thing, it's gone on since I finished the book, of course, I mean, that's what I do, that there's a modus operandi here whereby these moons are brought in to a target planet, and it's very much symbolized by the Death Star theme in the Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
Of course, produced by a massive insider called George Lucas. That they move these moons in, and when that happens, the target planet's status quo, society, way of life, it's gone because of the effect of the planet, of what happens. And then when everything starts to die down and settle down, they then go to phase 2, which is changing the form, in this case the human form, changing the way that society works so it becomes a slave race and a slave society serving this control system. And what's coming more and more into my research is Saturn. And what Saturn's very famous for, of course, is the number of moons it has. And I would strongly suggest that we need to look at that from a new light as well. What are they really? And, I know that some people have pointed in the past and more recently to the fact that Phobos, the moon of Mars, is hollow and is a construct.
Mm-hmm.
And just before I came out here, Robert, we've got an astronomy, mainstream science astronomy program in Britain. Well, I think it's one of the most long-running programs in the world, maybe the longest running. It's called The Sky at Night. And they had a guy on there who was talking about the fact, I think it's the European Express spacecraft, has been doing close photographing of Phobos. And they've concluded that it's very possibly hollow, and it's made of nothing like they've ever found a meteorite or asteroid to be made of. And a number of times over the years, people have, I think Richard Hoagland's talked about it more recently, that's not actually what it seems to be. It's some kind of craft. And all I'm saying is that's actually not a one-off. It's a modus operandi.
No.
And that's just in the sky. The moon, our moon, is just a massive version of it. And when you talk about the size of it, it's been postulated that by scientists over the years that if you look at the Earth's magnetic field and the size of the Earth, it could well be that the Earth wouldn't have a satellite. And if it did, it would be a small one. That's
right.
2,160 miles around. It's bigger than Pluto. And some scientists don't even talk about a planet-satellite-moon relationship, but a dual-planet relationship.
Right.
And then you talk to insiders over the years who've been into some of these inner projects, and one of the things that you pick up as a theme is that when they talk about spacecraft that they've seen or pictures of, it's the size of them. And again, we go back to what I was just talking about. We've got to expand our perception of possibility out of the box that says we can't do it, so it can't be done, into the understanding that because of the way humanity has been suppressed and kept down and kept ignorant, we are nothing like the cutting edge of possibility. So to dismiss something because we can't do it is fine. That's a choice. Good luck to you. Let's have a beer. But you're going to miss the point if you do.